The summer of 1848 was a time of uncertainty and a time of opportunity. The uncertainty came from events in the nation's capital. On May 29th of that year, Wisconsin became the 30th state, with its western boundary set along the St. Croix and Mississippi rivers. Some Stillwater residents had pressed for a boundary further to the east so that the river valley would not be split down the middle, leading to legal confusion for the timber industry. Others feared that the new state, based in faraway Madison, would not be sympathetic to their interests. Now that issue had been settled. But what was left uncertain was the legal standing of the part of Wisconsin Territory that had been left out of the new state. Was it still Wisconsin Territory? Senator Stephen Douglas, chairman of the Senate Committee on Territories, had, in fact, introduced a bill in 1846 to create a new Minnesota territory. But it failed because there were simply not enough white males to meet the required population of 5,000 voters. At the time, the triangle of land between the St. Croix and Mississippi rivers was the only part of the region open to settlement and development. There were 3 towns large enough to support any sort of commercial enterprise: St. Paul and the rival lumbering cities of Stillwater on the St. Croix and St. Anthony on the Mississippi River. This uncertainty opened the door for ambitious politicians who saw an opportunity to become the founders of a new territory and eventually a new state. Among the leaders stood Joseph Brown, who less than a decade earlier had laid out a town site just north of where the village of Stillwater was later settled. Working with fur trader Henry Sibley of Mendota, Brown helped to organize a convention to be held in Stillwater in late August, figuring that he could control the proceedings better if they were held away from St. Paul. On August 26, 1848, delegates gathered in John McCusick's store on Main Street in Stillwater for an ad hoc convention to determine the future of Minnesota. Among the Stillwater men at the convention were Dr. Christopher Carley, the area's first physician, Socrates Nelson, the first store owner in Stillwater, and William Holcomb, the first surveyor of logs and lumber, and later Minnesota's first lieutenant governor. Joseph Brown dominated the convention with a flurry of motions and maneuvers. Juggling Joe, some called him. There was little disagreement among the delegates. They wanted a new Minnesota territory, and they quickly passed a resolution of support. The next step was the election of a delegate to take their resolutions to Congress. Again, there was little debate, and Henry Sibley won in a unanimous vote, even though he lived south of the Mississippi, and therefore not in the old Wisconsin Territory. Because of the Stillwater Convention's action, ratified by an election in the fall, Sibley was seated as a delegate from Wisconsin Territory in the 30th Congress when it convened in December. With the strong support of Senator Douglas, a bill passed both houses on the very last day of the session, and Minnesota became a territory stretching from the St. Croix on the east to the Missouri River on the west. That was in early March. Because Lake Pepin was frozen over, the first steamboat north that year did not arrive until the night of April 9th. David Lambert of St. Paul recalled the arrival of that vessel.
In an instant, the welcome news flashed like electricity throughout the town. And regardless of the pelting rain, the raging wind, and the pealing thunder, almost the entire male population rushed to the landing. At length, the news was known, and one glad shout resounding through the boat taken up on shore and echoed from our bluffs and rolling hills proclaimed that the bill for the organization of Minnesota Territory had become a law.
Although John McCusick's store is long gone, this spot can rightly claim to be the birthplace of Minnesota.